Hello, my name's Aaron. This is my vlog, and you should buy my book. It's coming out on Monday, January 15th, 2024. I've posted on the Twitters, I've posted on the Instagrams. I'm going to hit the Facebooks up next. I'm here on the YouTubes with you. It's a party and a half, counting down till Monday. Can I tell you a story? Let me tell you a story. 7 years ago, I was a student at Metropolitan State University of Denver, and I was on the way to becoming a teacher. I was in classes. I was in a intro to theater class, and it was like theater appreciation or theater something or another. It was an elective that you could take in order to supplement your straight English stuff and your straight education courses. And I'm a theater kid. I've been a theater kid from all 4 years of high school. Shout out to John Crone, who was our theater teacher at Littleton High School for those 4 years, who is a legend in the Colorado theater community and who inspired so many of us in those 4 years to do incredible things and to continue to return to our theater roots. And so in that spirit, I was like, oh my gosh, I love theater. I was a tech kid for all the 4 years. I had a few acting things with our acting classes. But this is my jam. I love theater. Let's get into it. So as part of the theater class, we did a lot of theater learning, a lot of theater writing, a lot of stuff. It was really cool. I got to learn a lot more about the theater history than I had known before. It's great. But we came to a point where it was time to write a one-act. Well, I wrote a one-act play titled The Barista. And it's similar to the opening of the 7 Days, a Seven Falls story. The opening scene with Peter Crawford and Jill Miller is pretty straightforward, pretty much exactly the scene that was first written as a play script. And I sat on it for a little bit, and we actually used it as we took it and put it into a very different production, which was very fun. It became almost a purgatory. Like it symbolized purgatory, the cafe, and people were coming into the cafe, into the purgatory world, not knowing that they were in purgatory, and they slowly began to figure it out. And it's a very weird and wonderful kind of production that we created out of that base story. But that base story stuck with me. And so 7 years ago, I started to say, you know what? I could write something more to this. There's more to these characters. The story demands more. And as such, with any writing, the more you write, the more you find out, okay, do these characters have the ability to grow and have a character arc and to expand the plot and to expand the action and to grow essentially within the pages as they're being written. And with Jill Miller and Peter Crawford, it began to grow. Soon we had Caroline Crawford, Peter's sister, who entered the scene. We had Jenna May and Walter Bonham, who were the grandparent figures and also the town elder figures. And then suddenly other pieces began to fall into place. Anastasia Ventura, who's a pop star of a great renown, her story begins to be weaved. She was her original name was Taylor Montana, a take on Hannah Montana and Taylor Swift. It was kind of cheesy, so I said, okay, we gotta create our own mythology here. We can't try and adapt the world into something that already exists. So Anastasia Ventura is her own creation. And slowly but surely, the ensemble cast of the story began to breathe to life. And it sounds weird to say breathe to life, but as moments required, characters needed to step in. And so I had to pull from the gallery of experiences and ideas in my head, and I grabbed characters out, and I started to give them life, and they started to take shape. And it became this larger story that refused to shut up. Like it had to be told. As I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and it turns, and the characters began to grow, and things happened, and stuff happened, and there was a moment I can't remember exactly where I was. I think it was in a coffee shop somewhere. I was finishing the story. The final words of the chapter had come out of my keyboard, and I was like, the story is done. But it wasn't, because it has to go through an editor, and it has to go through revisions and all that stuff. But the story here is that I have been writing for most of my young adult, and even teenage life. I started writing a little bit in middle school, more in high school, and then Post high school, I wrote a little bit, and then I kind of fell off. And then as soon as I went back to school in 2014 to get my actual bachelor's, suddenly I wanted to write again. Suddenly that creative, I don't even know what to call it, but that creative part of me dusted off and stood up and said, I'm alive. Let's write. And so since that time in 2014, I haven't stopped writing. I haven't stopped creating. It's an incredible thing to think about where I've come from and where I am today with this book and where I may go. I'm already writing a sequel to 7 Days. It's going to be another. So there's a second book in the Seven Falls series being written and developed and brainstormed and worked on. And there might be a third story in there. There might be a third book in this Seven Falls. Who knows? But that's the story of this book is that it started 7 years ago out of an awakening of creativity, an awakening of ideas, an awakening of dreaming of what could be my first debut novel. And so on Monday, January 15th, 2024, that story becomes a reality. And that is the most exciting thing. I know I've said it several times in the vlogs that I've been making, but that is the most exciting thing in a long time in my life, is I get to say, I have a debut novel, and you get to read it. And it gets to be out in the world, and out of my hands and into yours. That's my story. A writer who once wrote excessively, fell away from it, and picked it back up again. It feels like this is my time to come back to this, and I don't think I'll ever stop writing. I mean, I've written Star Trek fan fiction with Bravo Fleet, bravofleet.com. I've written incredible stories, fun stories, crazy stories. My writing has improved even through that as I've learned how to write characters, how to write dialogue, how to create plots that move and shake and at times hit you with some emotions. So it's my dream that this book will spread and people will read, and there will be lots of thoughts and ideas and reactions to these characters. Once it's out of my hands, whatever I intended, whatever I thought were the themes or ideas or expressed, you're going to take them and you're going to interpret it with your own world that you've lived and life you've lived. And I'm excited to see what you think. So yeah, buy my book. I'll put the links down there. And I will be back again tomorrow with another vlog. I will be on Instagram. Instagram.com/adelayedteacher is where I'll be there. I'll put those links down there. I'm going to be on Twitter. X. X.com/adelayedteacher. I'll be on the Facebooks. I'll be on the things. I'll be around. And Monday, I haven't decided exactly, but there's going to be things happening. And I'm going to see what I can get people to give me for just to have fun with and be creative and celebrate this book's release on the 15th, which is Monday. I will see you tomorrow. And if nobody's told you recently or lately, I love you and I like you just the way you are.